In this video, we're rebuilding the rot that's in the front end of this trailer. It's got a pretty big beating on that Yukon trip because the roads are not awesome, and just how bad shape the front end was in, it showed up on that trip. So it needed repair. We got to her. Working on the Vanguard fifth wheel today. On this trailer, when we did the Yukon trip, the roads are really rough. You can see some movement in here. It's a little wee tiny, let's see if I can focus it. There we go. Crack right there. So this molding had come out so that this piece of fiberglass on the forward side was actually outside of the molding. So we're gonna start taking this all apart and see what's going on in there and see what we can do to remedy this situation. First, we gotta find out what's wrong. A little history on this front corner. When I got this trailer home, I didn't have the shop yet, so I was basically working in my outdoor shop. And I knew I had a bit of a problem in this wall. So what we did is we took this molding off and we put some spacers in here. It's secured on here pretty good, but we had spacers in here to let air in so to dry out. And in taking the screws out, some were, well, you can see they're pretty long screws. Those are the screws I put in there. You can see rust on the odd one. That's a sign you got moisture in there, but it might have been residue too. Because some of this, when I took some of the screws out, actual dust come out, sawdust. If you look up here, you can see it's kind of brown and separating, because that's supposed to be a sheet of plywood. And then up here, you can see it's dry because it's the color that plywood would normally be when it's new. So we put it back together because we had a couple of days of sunshine, and then the rain was coming, so I had to put it back together to keep the weather out of it. And then when I had it in here for the major part of the work the following winter after the shop was up, I don't know if I forgot about it or just thought I had already fixed it and I didn't have to worry about it anymore. But for the most part, it was fixed. But until I got into those rough northern BC and Yukon roads. So now I'm fixing it properly. Yeah, those screws aren't supposed to be that color. Especially all the way up. Well, that tells you there's wood that's not great up there, but since it's dust coming out, there hasn't been water in there. Here's the molding I took off the driver's side, and you can see there's all sorts of debris in there from rotten wood. And there you see lots of rotten wood. So that situation was there before I even got this trailer. Some more up here. You can see some ripples on this wall. I had done this trailer had a much bigger ripple on it when I got it. I did a repair that you'd normally do on a trailer that's laminated, that has rigid insulation inside. The Vanguard, this one, the Legend series, is a full frame trailer with fiberglass insulation in between, and the fiberglass is laminated onto the studs. So when I did this molding here with the corresponding wood molding on the inside, drove screws through to sandwich it, which works great with a rigid insulation wall. It got very wavy where the studs were and weren't. So what I did on this one was I cut out the interior paneling, put a piece of plywood, 3/8 I think it was, against the inside of this panel. There's the Luan, there's the fiberglass on the 1/8" Luan, and I put the plywood against that, and then I put insulation back in and then interior paneling. So I made it rigid that way, but that didn't address the bigger issue. And so now we gotta take this right apart and find out why I got all this flex in the front. And the person wonders why the screws won't hold. I just got to figure out how to get that down. Oh, by the way, that was up there. Oh, and I got the fifth wheel hitch off. That's fun by yourself. Mess number 2. Yes. I'm taking apart. So I'm digging through this rock. You see that good board there. That's actually what I put in when I did this repair from the inside. I may have to take the wall apart again. Yeah, I'm digging out all this wood and getting rid of the crappy stuff, and I gotta figure out how to put some new stuff in there, because the nice thing about aluminum sided trailer is I could just take off the sheet of metal and have full access to it. With this trailer, not so much. And this is why I sound a little fuzzy in the video. With all this crap, I figured I better have some protection. I think I've got everything cleaned out. So that's the front. Trying to get this thing to focus. This sheet, this sheet of plywood, this is from that previous repair I did from the inside. So as best I could, I laminated this piece of plywood onto that because it was all rotten, trying to get it to lay flat. And I don't know if you can see up in there. Yeah, you can see in there, way up there. That's the inside of the closet. So, that's the bottom of a vertical stud. It's hard to get out of there. There's a, where'd it go? 2x2 stud right there between the ceiling lights and this thing focusing. It's hard to show you. So that's the bottom of a 2x2 that's factory going along here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this solid with 2 by whatever thickness I need to get down flush with here. Then I'm going to laminate a piece of plywood, screw and laminate a piece of plywood from here across here. Then I'll do some self-tappers up into this frame, and then another sheet of plywood because we've got this thickness, so this is all flush to here. And then I'm gonna glue all this just to give it as much strength as possible. Then I'll run some glue along here, and even though it's deteriorated, every bit helps, so that I'll be able to bring this against that, make it as strong as possible. So that way, when you put it on the truck, the frame of the flexes up, it's gonna take the wall with it. Before I did this repair, I measured this before I started chewing everything out of here, but I had the moldings off. So what I did is I jacked the hitch up until the jacks were just off the ground. And there was 1/8 of an inch difference on this side between a solid piece of wood compared to where this was, with and without it being jacked up. And on the far side, it was 3/16. So I've seen intact fifth wheels move more than that. So that's pretty good, but I want it to move as little as possible. So we're gonna make it as strong as possible. Here's my piece of framing to go up in here. So we'll see how this goes with one hand. There we go. Up there nice. And then the plywood will go across here. And I've pre-drilled holes here because I don't have screws that long. This piece is going right here, and I've just got to figure out how to get it in place because it's going around, fitting between a bunch of things. Okay, so what I did is that block got fitted up there, and then I put a bunch of glue between it and this piece of plywood, and then I put this strip over top. So it's pocket screwed into that vertical stud and then up at the front. And then I've also screwed it down to the 2x6 that's below it. And I have put all sorts of, the glue I'm putting in there is Titebond 3, which is designed for outdoor use. So if any moisture gets in there, the glue will not let go. And then I'll show you what I've done on the outside to add to the strength. So then I clamped the fiberglass against the board. You can kind of see it up there. That's the board that I put in that was all the weird shapes. And we'll let that glue dry and go have some lunch. So I have my final pieces in. So this is on the door side or passenger side, whatever you want to call it. So this piece of, where's my fingers, plywood right here, that's 1 inch thick. It's only that wide. It did go across to here. But I cut it out so that I could put this in. So this is screwed into the sidewall framing. And then this is screwed into the plywood above, that's above this piece. You can kind of see it there. And then these lag bolts are going into the steel frame of the trailer. The problem being the frame would lift, the sidewall and the floor wouldn't. So it was causing a lot of movement. And on this side, the driver's side or off-door side, whatever, roadside, whatever you want to call it. It's a little different. I'd cut out more wood because there was a lot of rotten wood in here. So this one's built a little different. There's another piece of plywood over top of here for where all the 1/2 inch I cut out here was. So this one you could see right up into the sidewall, so I've replaced structure within the sidewall. And then this here is screwed into that. And then here there was nothing to screw to because it was rotten and it's gone. So what I did is where I cut the plywood off, I put the pocket holes there. And then as before, that goes into the steel frame. On both sides, everywhere I could, this is glued with Titebond 3 to the existing wood that is solid. Now, I did a test. Weight sitting on the jacks and measured from here to here on all 4 corners, the front underneath the gooseneck, the back underneath the gooseneck, and then both sides. So before I did the repair, I had between 1/8 and 3/16 of an inch movement. I didn't think that was a whole bunch, but it was still movement and I was having problems. Now I'm at 0 on all 4 corners. This piece of wood here on the front nose cone, it's just starting to rot. It's solid, but it's not as solid as you'd want for driving screws into. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach a piece of sheet metal to this, and then the screws have more to bite into when I'm putting on this front molding. So Now everywhere the screws are going to have a lot more to bite into. The screws along here had basically nothing. They were going into, well, they were going into this crap. Yeah, that's all the crap that's come out of there. This is off another job on a different trailer, but the rest of this is just the garbage and dust and shit out of this trailer. So now I'm going to put the underbelly back up, fix up that front end, put that's the fiberglass underbelly for here, and clean up the moldings and put her all back together. And then I can do the other little repairs that I noticed at the end of last summer. Here's the metal for the screws for this molding to screw into, and it's wrapped on the side and secured on the side where we've got a little better wood, and also just being now turned into an angle iron. It's got some more strength and rigidity. Now where I cut open the underbelly, I'm putting on underbelly tape. This stuff's awesome. And on this side, because it was so rotten, I just pulled it down. I'm hoping I can just tuck it up and give her a staple and she'll be in place. This panel is the panel that goes up here. And as you can see, we have a lamination problem. So I've cut some pieces that will go cover the rotted stuff, and I'm going to cut out the old paneling and then use some 3M spray glue to put it all back in place. And it's not all evenly rotten, so you got some layers coming off, some layers sticking. And it's never easy. I don't know how many piles of rotten wood I've thrown out and swept up, but there's another one. Let glue dry. Okay, the Phylon underbelly is installed. And then the front cap is installed. Well, screwed back down in a couple spots so it's snug. And now, because this trailer has been caulked and recocked and recocked, and basically got a great big mess of caulking over caulking, I'm scraping all the old butyl tape and silicone and everything else that's on there off. I'm using a putty knife, and putty knife style scraper, and and citrus cleaner to break it down. So give it a scrape with the putty knife, spray it with citrus cleaner, go over it again with the putty knife, and then with a rag, and it's getting it all cleaned off. So that way when I put the moldings on, I've got a nice clean surface for the caulking to adhere to. I'm getting the moldings put back in, and as you can see, shiny new screws. And on the screw cover, it's tucked underneath the molding so it doesn't shrink and come out. And then, as you can see, there's the screws that came out of there. There's some moisture in that wood. And there's the screws that I've been putting in, using 1 inch and 1.5 inch, depending where they're going. Something I've taken to doing lately, and it is tedious, but every bit helps. It's caulking the screws. I just figure every place we can stop water from entering the trailer, or every layer of insurance, it's worth it. The front end is completed. I got the moldings put on today, and actually yesterday, and caulked them today. So the caulking, which is kind of hard to see in the camera, but it's between the body and the molding, right there. I used a product called Sikaflex. It's getting more common in the RV industry rather than using silicone. The benefits are it's got a stronger bond, and it's not supposed to hold dust, kind of like that mess. And the only thing I was told is don't use it on anything you're going to be taking off, because it's really hard to take off. Pin box got to go on, but looking, oh, Rosie's got a grasshopper. She's just having a ball. What you doing, Rosie? Got a grasshopper? Get your grasshopper. Okay, back to the trailer. Yeah, everything worked out pretty good. Trailer needs a wash. You can see where it's been scrubbed and so forth. So, yeah, and got a few more things to get it ready for camping season. And good thing camping season for this trailer isn't anytime soon, because it's a long list. And that will be in upcoming videos. Thank you. So that was the front end repair. Got it done. Oh, I noticed in one of the last little shots there, the screw cover here wasn't in. We got that all back in. And we also put in the hitch light, wherever it is, right there, behind the hitch. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Saw some of the ways you can fix up a trailer that's got some rot problems, and hopefully you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next video.